Hey guys, welcome to today's reading. This one is all about big changes happening for you in 2025. So, over the course of the next year, how is your life going to be changing in some major ways? We're going to be getting into all of it today. We have a selection of crystals for you to choose from. So, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. Basically, you're going to see which of these crystals is sticking out to you, calling your name, drawing your attention in towards it. And then, as soon as you make up your mind, just scroll down to the timestamps in the comments in the description and jump right into your pile. By the way, if you like how I read tarot and you want to see more of it, then be sure to head to my Patreon where I post all my additional readings. I just posted a reading all about your next relationship, and I'm going to post one about when you will be reaching your dreams. There is so much content to choose from over on Patreon. Like I said, over 100 exclusive readings, and then you get to be the first to watch all my YouTube videos. So if that sounds good to you, then head to the link underneath the timestamps for my Patreon, and I would love to see you there. Also, if you are looking to book a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, whether you're looking for a quick half-hour reading, a full hour-length reading, whether you want it to be pre-recorded or live, whether you want us to focus on tarot, astrology, just some channeling, a combination. You get to customize your reading with me, so it's the perfect reading for you. And if that sounds good, then head to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. So thanks for watching, guys. That's about all I have to say. If you need more time to decide, you can totally feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need. But we're going to go ahead and jump into pile one. Hey, pile one, welcome to your reading. So you guys got the Princess of Swords, the Ace of Cups, the Justice card, the Ten of Wands, and the Lady. So wow, there is a lot happening for you guys in the new year. With the Ace of Cups, there could be a beautiful new relationship coming in. Even for some of you guys, especially with this combined with the Empress, aka the Lady card, this could be a pregnancy. This could be like a new child, the new birth. But it's going to be a very deep relationship. It's going to be someone who comes into your life for a really deep, genuine connection. Could be a friendship, but when you see the Ace of Cups, that means it's going to be someone that means a lot to you. It's going to be someone that really brings value to your life, someone that you can talk to, someone you can open up to. I'm also feeling like there is a huge vibe for some of you guys with feeling vindicated. Like if you've been in a court case, maybe winning that court case. Maybe if someone treated you badly, they get some kind of karma, or you find out about it. You find out that like something happened with regards to that, or people realized that you were telling the truth. Any situation in which you felt like you were being treated really badly, or someone, really went against you in a way that was unfair or unkind, then you may feel like you're vindicated, like you get the justice you want. And the other thing that's coming in, I feel strongly, is a lot of you guys are going to be learning to be very vulnerable. So with the Ten of Wands being reversed, you may learn that you don't need to take on so much. And actually, this energy to me is about learning to receive. I also feel like for some of you guys, this energy is around learning how to be vulnerable. So like I said, maybe this corresponds with the Ace of Cups, learning to open up to someone, learning to let someone into your heart and show them who you really are on a deeper level than maybe you were capable of in the past. If in the past you sometimes kept up a wall, or you didn't want to let someone fully in, this may be about really interrogating that and like being willing to communicate, being willing to open up. If you've had some social anxiety, or anxiety around friendships, or it gets you stressed out and nervous when you think about talking to someone, that may start leaving. And I feel like you're just okay with being who you are. I feel like this is a year for some of you guys of rest, of almost like learning that you don't have to perform so much, you don't have to do so much, and you're just good enough as you already are. And I feel like that bleeds into a lot of things. If you've had trouble manifesting, a lot of times that comes from that place of scarcity. A lot of times that comes from that place of like, I don't know if I'm good enough, or I don't really deserve this. And I feel like that's really changing, and you're realizing how much you absolutely do deserve it, and how you deserve all the good things in your life, all the beautiful things. And I feel like you're learning to kind of stop fighting it and just allowing it to flow in, allowing it to enter into your life, and not to be something that you keep at bay or you keep at a distance. It's like you're really capable of this intense amount of depth in your relationships. And I feel like that also allows you, again, to have better romance, to have better love relationships. If you've already been in a relationship, it may just be getting a lot deeper, and you may be seeing this person more for who they are, and vice versa. And if you've already been, like I said, dating someone, you just may be surprised of like, wow, this is how good it gets. I didn't know this was possible. I didn't know I could open up to someone like this. I didn't know that maybe I've been kind of on guard. Maybe I've been pushing these things away, and actually how good it feels to just let it flow in, and how easy it feels to allow that to happen. And how when you stop being in that 10 of Wands mode of feeling like you have to perform, do so much, that's actually when things can get really good. And sometimes you actually attract more into your life once you kind of stop working so hard and pushing yourself. So you may also literally be resting a lot this year. For some of you guys, you could be sleeping, staying at home, doing creative projects. You may also feel very creatively inspired, because the Ace of Cups can be creative inspiration as well. So you may feel like, I have this idea for a book, or I have this idea for a movie I want to write, or a song, or a painting I want to make. I feel like you are going to be very creatively inspired, and a lot of you guys may be spending more time this year, like I said, resting. So if you've been at a job where you've been really burnt out, where you've been working super hard, where you've been doing a lot, you may find ways to dial that back. Like maybe you can switch up your schedule. Maybe you can come in later if you're more of a night owl and you really don't like to be up super early in the morning and you never end up getting a lot of sleep. You may talk to your boss and be like, can I stay at the office later and like come in at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. even? And your boss may say yes. Or you just find ways to put up some boundaries with people where you're not doing so much and you're allowing yourself time to heal and relax and kind of pause. I feel like a lot of you guys could even be doing some shadow work, but it feels like easy, gentle shadow work, kind of like learning to nourish yourself, learning to take care of yourself, not some of the heavier Plutonian shadow work that sometimes we think of with that term. But let me get into some of these cards for you. So what is happening? What kind of beautiful changes are going to be happening for pile number 1 in 2025? We got good luck. It's always nice when luck is on your side. Trust, beauty, well-being, and compassion. So it really feels like this is the time of year. This is the year when it's like you're really looking out for yourself. You are taking care of yourself. You are a priority. If in the past you put other people in front of you, or maybe some of you guys have been people pleasers at times, maybe some of you guys have ended up trying to appease to everyone else. And the thing about that is I often think when someone's being a people pleaser, what it comes down to at the end of the day is, again, a scarcity mindset, and this feeling that if I'm truly transparently myself, if I was completely honest about who I am, that these people wouldn't like me. So I have to do so much. I have to add value in order to be liked. Sometimes that can come from childhood wounds. Maybe with your parents, they would get annoyed with you if you needed something from them. So you learned to make them happy first, and you ended up parentified and parenting your parents. But either way, it's really important to unpack, why am I feeling the need to people please? Because so much of the time it does come from this fear that if I'm honest and I advocate and I put myself first, this person isn't going to like me, and they're only going to like me for the utility and the value I add to their life, for what I do for them. And that's why it can be so powerful to actually pull back and just be completely honest and stop engaging in that and start really advocating. Like maybe it's as simple as like, you're really tired that day, your friend texts you and says, hey, let's go out tonight. I really need to get drinks. I just had a breakup or something, and I want to go out to this club and just dance all night. And you're like, oh, I'm really exhausted. And maybe normally you'd get yourself together and you'd be like, yeah, let's go. And you just say, I really can't do it tonight. I'm sorry you're going through that. But no, but we could go out another night or something. And sometimes even doing something as simple as that can feel really scary. But I feel like that's what you guys are learning to do. Like you're really learning to listen to yourself and your own inner voice, which is so powerful. This could even be something as simple as learning to listen to your emotions. I think so much of the time when we are feeling dysregulated, whether that's we're eating too much, we're not eating enough, we are over exercising, we're compulsively shopping. Any compulsive behavior is like running away from our emotions. It's a fear of our emotions. And if you're just willing to take a step back, acknowledge those emotions, sit with them, they will give you so much valuable information, keeping in mind that like in astrology, the moon rules your emotions and it also rules your psychic ability. So that's often how our intuition speaks to us, you know, getting anxiety about dealing with a certain person, or feeling really stressed out or angry about something, or feeling really happy about something. That's a really powerful indicator of what's going on. And sometimes, again, it comes from a place of trauma. Sometimes that anxiety has nothing to do with that person and everything to do with our history, our past. But either way, if we can kind of step back, pause, and try to see where does that originate from, then it's like we are going to be so much more prepared to deal with that situation. And I feel like a lot of you guys are embracing that work. A lot of you guys are going to be maybe even developing your emotional abilities if you've been quick to overreact in the past, or if you've had trouble staying regulated. I feel like that's really kind of changing, and you're coming to this beautiful energy of pausing, of being relaxed, of being kind and joyful and sweet, and really sweet to yourself, you know, like letting yourself feel good, giving yourself permission, not feeling like you need to perform or do so much. And I feel like that's going to be really revelatory. So there may be a lot of rest, a lot of self-care. You may be even making some changes to your appearance or pampering yourself in some way this year. But I do feel like you're giving yourself that beautiful permission. And I do feel like that's going to radiate out into the world. You may stop if you have been in a lot of people-pleasing relationships, or you've always been at jobs where you needed to do so much. You may find that those relationships fall off, or that job just stops being in alignment with you, and you feel the need to move on to something else. And the next job you attract actually gives you so much more time, so much more energy, so much more space, and you're not feeling this need to perform, do so much. I feel like a lot of this is like self-reflection and realizing your own agency in pulling back. And for some of you guys, this could be a relationship that really allows you to see the value in that. Sometimes when we really have someone who really loves us deeply, accepts us as we are, and is willing to do a lot for us, that really allows us to heal as well, and to realize we can trust this other person, we can depend on them. So for a lot of you guys, this could be a beautiful relationship coming in with someone that you're able to feel amazing amounts of trust with. You're able to open up, you're able to talk to them, you're not feeling like you have to act a certain way to get them to like you. You're not feeling like, let me hide this part of my personality so they don't get turned off. You feel like you can be completely open and have this deep level of intimacy, this healing intimacy with them, which is so beautiful. So that could be happening for some of you guys for sure. I feel like you're learning how valuable you are, and you're no longer putting yourself on the back burner or starting to put others in front of you. Instead, you're really looking into like, how do I feel? How can I be the best version of myself? And sometimes it's as simple as like that mom that is never buying new clothes for herself, and she's always buying clothes for her kids, but like she never takes herself out shopping. Or that mom that has a husband that like lazes around and she's doing all the dishes and cooking and cleaning, and learning to pause and take a step back, and learning that I deserve actually someone who's going to make me feel rested. I deserve someone who's going to, you know, be like, hey, babe, you seem really burnt out today. Like, you go chill on the couch. I got this. I will handle everything. And hopefully it's not just once a day, once a week or once a month or something. Hopefully that's a regular event that like, you know, you can really trust this person in your life to manage things. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is maybe taking a step back from those relationships that have burnt you out and realizing like, wow, I feel so much better. I actually feel so much easier now. And actually things can be really good. Things can be really nice. This could also be learning to set up boundaries, advocating for yourself, learning to say no, learning that like you don't have to engage with anything that isn't going to respect and honor you. So if you are in that relationship that's very transactional with someone that isn't even okay with it, if you're like, oh yeah, I'm tired today, do you want to do the dishes? and they're not even able to handle that, and they expect so much from you, then that may not be a relationship of deep intimacy, honor, and deep love. And that's something that maybe you want to try looking for something else. So I feel like you're going to start trusting the universe, and the universe is going to start really answering. You're going to be like, wow, I didn't know it could get this good. I didn't know that actually I could have all these things I wanted and asked for, and they would come to me so easily. So it's actually going to be a really great year for you, especially for those of you guys who can lean into like this like receiving energy and not doing so much. The sooner you can learn that lesson, the sooner you can start valuing yourself and prioritizing your feelings, the quicker these blessings are going to come in. Pile number one. So let's get into another deck for you guys. I want to pull from this deck. So what is happening for pile number one in the new year in 2025? I'm also feeling for some of you guys, this could be like an old friend coming back, someone that you haven't spoken to for a while, someone that you may have lost contact with or just haven't been hearing from them. You may hear from that person. And again, I feel like this could be kind of vindication, or that person, maybe they did something wrong, or you put up a boundary with them and they contact you and let you know, like, you know, you were totally right, or I'm sorry, or you get that apology you wanted, you know, or they're just willing to like humble themselves a little bit or reach out to you in some way. I feel like for a lot of you guys, maybe that's someone you put a boundary up with, or someone that you said, like, you can't do what I need from you, so that's it. And I feel like there's like lessons they had to learn. And so they may be coming back to talk to you when they're more in alignment and they have started accepting some of those lessons. But we got sensitivity and strength, tapping the forces within, talent guides, spirit mentors and teachers, angels of the seven chakras, power, truth, connection. And let's get one more card for you. Pile number one. This says relaxation, peaceful pursuits, happy time. That is completely the vibe I'm getting for you guys. This is a relaxing year. This is a beautiful gift of being able to kind of decompress a little bit, not feeling under so much pressure, maybe even literally spending more time in bed or more time on the couch or more time with your nervous system rested, you know, more time in alignment with those things that make you feel good and less time in alignment with those things that make you feel stressed out or freaked out or nervous or anxious. Yeah, I feel like also with that strength and sensitivity card, there's, like I said, a lot of this is actually tied to boundaries. It's kind of like Spirit is showing me this metaphor of like, you could relax, but for example, going back to like, I don't know, the medieval era or something, it's probably easier to relax in like one of those medieval walled cities. Like I'm thinking of the city Lucca in Tuscany, which is so amazing and has this really thick wall around it, and really high wall, and it's like very impenetrable. And it's such a beautiful city. It's like so incredible and so vibrant. And the city center, the like town square is just amazing. And the thing about it is it's allowed to be that amazing because there's this thick wall around it, right? And you could imagine like a lot of cities in Europe from that time period, from like that were built, you know, I don't know what the age range is, but in the dark ages, in the medieval era, whatever, even before that, they had those thick walls and they had, you know, they were built on a hilltop or they were built really high up, and then they could see if anyone was attacking them. And that's what allowed people to like invest and feel comfortable and safe creating like a nice house in these cities, because they knew that like if there was a neighboring town that wanted to attack them, that they wouldn't be able to easily get in. And if you were just out in the open in the middle of anywhere, then they weren't able to feel as comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And by the same token, I think sometimes those of us who are spiritual, those of us who are givers, we tend to think, I have to let everyone in, I have to hold space for everyone, I have to be really kind to everyone. And we don't realize that sometimes that's the source of our strength. It's almost like if you knew you felt emboldened or you felt that you had to give someone money every time they asked,
You'd start stressing out about that, wondering, what are they going to ask me next? It's kind of like those movies that they'll make where the person has to say yes for a day or for a certain amount of time. They can't say no. You can see how that would lead to so many crazy situations, really bad situations for the person. You know, someone could ask for half their money and they have to say yes, and it would create this sense of stress. And by the same token, I think so many of us go through these relationships, go out into the world, especially us empaths or spiritual people, and we don't really know how to say no. We don't really know how to turn someone down. We know that may provoke negative emotions in them, and we feel guilty about that. And we don't even pay attention to how much negative emotion we're creating in ourselves. And then we wonder, well, why am I stressed out all the time? Why am I nervous when I go out in public? Maybe you're not putting energetic blocks up. I feel like a lot of you who picked this pile, you could be very spiritual. You could be very psychic, empathic. And if you get anxiety when you're out in crowds, if you feel overwhelmed by like sudden feelings or emotions, or just like stressed out or overstimulated, you may be absorbing a lot of other people's energy. And that's why it's really important to put up energetic boundaries, whether that is wearing some black crystals like obsidian or black tourmaline, whether that is envisioning yourself surrounded in a bubble of white light, whether that is just setting that intention in your mind of like, I'm not going to take on anyone else's emotions. That actually allows you so much more freedom to go out and do the things you want to do. And you may realize that a lot of this was almost, I want to say, your choice. Like, you're the one who didn't put up the boundaries. You're the one who didn't build the wall around your city. And then you're shocked when someone invades and doesn't treat you well. Like, that's just how it's going to work, right? So I just feel like a lot of you guys are learning to balance, and almost like the more you're willing to say no, the more you're willing to advocate for yourself, the more you're willing to actually have that difficult conversation and be like, you know, I actually can't work overtime. I'm so sorry. You're going to feel a lot better. You know, the more you're able to put up a little bit of resistance, put up some walls, put your foot down with certain situations, you're going to be actually a lot better off, and you're going to feel maybe more rested, maybe more rejuvenated, and maybe more safe in your relationships. I also could see some of you guys going to like yoga classes, yoga retreats, maybe getting a Reiki certification, maybe doing a Pilates certification. Feels like some of you guys this year are really going to be working on self-care. I could see some of you guys traveling to like places that offer those kinds of services, like Costa Rica or Bali, or places that kind of have a spiritual bent where you're able to take a yoga class or do a retreat or learn from some kind of spiritual guru. And you may feel even aligned to change the kind of food you eat. Like, maybe you decide you want to eat more fruits and veggies, or go vegan, or I don't know, not eat processed foods, or eat organic, which I think is so great. Everyone, I think, should eat organic. But I feel like some of you guys are going to be changing how you eat and how you nourish yourself and how you take care of yourself, and learning to invest in yourself more. If you've been that person that's like, well, I'd love to eat organic, but I can't afford it, and I'll just eat this, you know, microwave pizza, you may find that you're like, you know, it's time to invest in myself. And actually, I really want to look out for myself, so I deserve the best, and find that you have so much more energy, and find that the more you invest in yourself, actually the more money that pours in and the more you can afford. So I feel like you're really, like I said, putting your foot down and kind of seeing yourself as this main character that's worthy of love, worthy of care, and really working, again, I feel, on some emotional regulation, listening to your emotions, honoring your emotions, maybe doing a little ritual where when you get overwhelmed or stressed or whatever, you sit down and feel your feelings and let them pass through you, and just giving yourself that time and that process and that respect. I think so much of the time it's like, you know, when we're rushing around, that's when we're like, oh, I don't have time to meditate today, or I don't have time to, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to sit on my bed for 5 minutes and feel my feelings. But that's probably when you need to feel it the most. When you feel the most frenzied, when you feel the most 10 of wands, when you feel the most like, oh God, I have to do it and I can't say no. And that is when it's time to sit back and really listen to yourself, because something is going on under the surface, and it's only you who can like really honor your emotions and allow them to flow through you and release. Keeping in mind, like in astrology, of course, but in the tarot as well, water, cups, our emotions. So that's the thing about water. It's not stuck. It's not stagnant. It changes just like water flows. The emotions will run through you. They will pass through you. They will be transient. You won't have to deal with them forever. The only emotion that really sticks with us is the ones we refuse to acknowledge, we try to bury, we try to tamp out. And that's the thing with water. If you try to like tamp out water, you can't. It's very resilient. You can try to mop up a puddle, but a lot of times it can be hard. You know, if there's a big enough spill, you're not going to be able to mop it up. So that's the thing, is it's sometimes when we're trying to run away from those emotions the most is when we're doing the most damage to ourselves. And I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be more honest with yourself this year about what you need, about what you're feeling, and about what you really want in this life, and being willing to align with that a lot more. So let me get some message cards for you. Pile number 1. I've been loving this deck lately, so let's see what messages we get for you, pile 1. So we got weight of the world, boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. I love that message for you guys, and that's completely what I've been saying. This is about boundaries and realizing what things are yours to carry and what things are not. Then we also got the golden children, inner child, tenderness, innocence, rare gifts. Let's get one more card for you, pile 1. This one is star bathing, light body, crystal grid. I'm having such trouble with my camera focusing lately. I don't know why. But anyway, let me try to do that thing like the makeup artists do. Star bathing, light body, crystal grid, transmission, activation. Okay, great. Yeah, I feel like it's almost about treating yourself as a child. You know, so much of the time we can be so harsh on ourselves. We can be so mean to ourselves. And that's why a really great ritual can be, if you're stuck in a situation where you don't know what to do, thinking about, well, what advice would I give like a child? What advice would I give my younger sibling if I had one? What advice would I give my friend? What advice would I give me as a 5-year-old? How can I honor my inner child? How can I listen to myself? Because so much of the time we get into these patterns as a kid of like not listening to our emotions. We know our parents are going to be mad if we have a tantrum or something. We don't feel listened to by our parents. So we get into this habit of just stuffing those emotions away and not paying attention to them. And I honestly think very few parents actually teach kids how to self-regulate, how to listen, how to interrogate their feelings and process what's going on. So for a lot of you guys, this could just be being willing to do that work for yourself, being willing to take care of yourself and reparent yourself and focus on yourself and giving yourself that priority that you should have had as a kid of like, I'm special, I'm important, and I deserve to be listened to, and I deserve to have my feelings understood or listened to or heard. And I feel like that's a lot of the work you guys are doing this year that's going to allow you to enter just so many beautiful blessings. I feel like this is actually going to be such a beautiful year for you guys. You know, you've just made so many spiritual strides, and I feel like you're kind of at this new precipice of your life of like possibilities that maybe in the past you felt like that couldn't happen to me. Like, I don't know, I'm never going to be in a relationship. I'm not capable of that kind of intimacy, or I'm never going to make that much money. It just couldn't happen for me. Or I could never have a child, or I could never get that kind of a job, or I could never go back to school. And realizing now how much more capable you are of all those things and how powerful you are, and listening to your voice allows you to listen to your intuition. So you may also be getting more on point with your psychic ability, but like, I literally feel like the sky is the limit for you guys this year. It just feels like you are going from strength to strength. You're achieving so much, and I feel like this is such an exciting year for you guys. So that is what I have for you, pile number 1. I really hope that resonates, guys. If you want to see more of my content, then be sure to head to my Patreon, where I post all my additional readings. There are over 100 exclusive readings you'll only find on Patreon, and you also get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. Also, by the way, if you like this reading, it really helps the channel when you like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications. But yeah, back to Patreon. You get to be the first to watch all my YouTube videos. I can't even remember what I just posted a reading about because there's so many readings that go up all the time. But if you're interested and you want to scroll through all the different options, then you can head on over to my Patreon and see all the different readings I have over there. Like I said, there's over 100, well over 100. So there's a lot to go through, and we're actually suggesting new topics and voting on them right now. So if you sign up, then you will be able to participate in that. Anyways, guys, the link for that is underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description for my Patreon. Also, if you would like to book a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, whether you want a quick half-hour reading, a full hour-length reading, whether you want it to be a combination of tarot, astrology, channeling, or just focusing on one of those modalities. Whether you want it to be pre-recorded or live, you get to really customize your reading so it's the perfect reading for you. If that sounds good, then head to my website, briarrosetarot.com. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very, very soon for another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, Pile 2, welcome to your reading. So you guys got the Ace of Swords, the Four of Pentacles, the Seven of Wands, the Six of Cups, and the Queen of Swords. So first of all, some of you guys are going to be very creative this year. You may find yourself a lot more well-spoken. If there's something you've wanted to communicate, be it like writing a book, starting a YouTube channel, starting a TikTok, putting something out there in the world, you may find this is the year for you to do it. And you may be very good with your words as well. With the Queen of Swords coming in, you may find that words just come to you easily. Your speaking voice is just really excellent, and you may feel like you're also getting more attention for that, or the ideas coming to you are just brilliant, just pouring out of you. Some of you guys may have more time to do things that are creative expression, like writing, if you've struggled to find time to do that and you've wanted to do that, or you wanted to start a YouTube but it's been hard for you to find the time, or you don't have the equipment. This could be the year when you get all that stuff. I also could see a lot of you guys making really good career strides and really rising up in your career. We got the Four of Pentacles, which is an amazing career card. And also, I'm just getting this quick channeling of some of you guys buying a house. Fours in us in tarot represent a foundation, and I'm seeing like the four pillars of a house. And so I feel like for some of you guys, like the four walls of a house, maybe creating a house or just creating a really solid foundation. But I do feel like for some of you guys, a change happening in the new year could be a change with your living situation, maybe moving or redecorating or just getting a clear vision. I'm also getting a download that some of you guys are going to be moving, and it could be quite drastic for some of you guys. You could be moving to like, I don't know, moving to Thailand, moving to Europe, moving to Russia, moving to across the country, you know, moving to Japan, somewhere that may be very different for you, or somewhere that maybe you dreamed of, but you weren't ready to pull the trigger. You were scared. Something was holding you back. And I feel like you're going to have this vision of like how to go about it. You know, like you're going to know, okay, I have to take these steps and this is what I have to do. I feel like you're also going to be some of you guys are going to be redoing your friend group, kicking out anyone where you have like jealous energy, or they're competitive with you. I feel like you're also going to be aligning with friends that are more on par with your goals. So you also could be finding people to like collaborate or work with that really get your vision and really understand you. Like if you've been at your job and you have to work with clients and it's been hard to find the right clients, you could be finding clients that you just vibe with. You're like, yes, like they get me, I get them, this is fantastic. And they really want to help you on your mission. I could also see this being like a friend group that maybe you've honestly wanted to break into for a while, or a friend group that is somewhat aspirational. Maybe they've already achieved certain things that you want. Like maybe you really want to get married and be a stay-at-home mom or something. I don't know. And you end up getting into a friend group, meeting someone at like a Pilates studio, and she's a stay-at-home mom and she has all stay-at-home mom friends, and she introduces you, and next thing you know, you're going to like happy hour with them and they introduce you to some guys or something. You never know. Or maybe you want to get into fashion and you find a group of friends in the fashion industry or whatever. You know, maybe like I said, if you're trying to be a writer, you could find friends that are writers. But
I feel like you're going to be aligned with people that like share the same vision, or people that can kind of help you. It's almost like they're a pathway of what you can do. I'm also hearing, this is like a really interesting download I'm getting, but for some of you guys, you actually like graduated from some kind of a lesson that you were already learning. So if you've been in like struggle mode for a while, if you've been like trucking through it and just working, and it felt like you were in the trenches of shadow work and just like, oh my God, this is really hard, that could be ending. And you could be actually finding your reality being very upgraded. Like maybe you always thought like, oh, I'd love to have a job like that, or I'd love to work in that building, but I'm not going to earn that kind of salary. That's crazy. And then you actually get that kind of a job, or you get contacted by a headhunter for that company and they want to hire you, and you're like, oh my God, like, is this really happening? Because I feel like there's some lessons that like you've been struggling with for a while that it's almost like you've completed and you're ready to move on, and you're ready to like pass, like you've already passed those tests. So now you're kind of on to the next and able to really think about um like the next step. Like you're not going to be dealing or laboring over the same issues that you have been dealing with. Instead, I feel like you're planning this vision for like this new life, this new reality that maybe you didn't think was possible. Like maybe you never thought you'd get married, and then you find yourself planning a wedding within the year and getting to really like pick out exactly what you want. Like maybe you're marrying someone and they just say like, hey, by the way, there's no budget for the wedding dress, so just pick what you want. Or you can get married like you've always wanted, dreamed, seen weddings in Italy and thought, oh, that would be nice. And your partner's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get married at Lake Como. I'm not saying, that specifically, but it feels like something like that, like something broadening in your possibility or in your reality of like, I didn't think this was an option for me. I didn't think that that could happen. And like, now I see that I'm actually able to do that. And this is like actually happening. It almost feels like a dream. Um, with the Seven of Wands, you may find a little competition around you sometimes. You may find people get a little competitive with you, or you're having to protect your peace in that way. I feel like you're also learning this lesson of just disregarding haters, and learning that as you level up this year, you're going to be getting a lot of haters, and that's just the reality of success. So I feel like that's also something that bothers you less. If it bothered you in the past and you get hung up on like, wow, this person's just being so mean or whatever, I feel like now you're able to just take it in stride and be like, oh, whatever, I'm not even going to waste my time with this. I feel like you're also, I just want to say, like, way more well spoken. Like you may find that in the past when you would make suggestions during meetings and people would like be like, okay, whatever, but now people listen to you. Or if you write something, people are really receiving it well. I feel like they can kind of hear you on a different level this year. And that feels like a really big change. So I want to get into these cards for you. Pile number 2. What is going to be changing for pile 2 in 2025? Can't believe we're at that year. Finding. Okay. Career. Okay. I love to have that validated. I'm definitely getting, this is a major career year for you guys. And as I'm saying that, we got the financial health card, which we love to see. It definitely feels like there are dreams and goals you're achieving this year that, like I said, you used to think was not even possible. You used to think like, oh, that's just never going to happen for me, or that's a million miles away. And as I'm saying that, transformation, wow, I love that the cards are just like repeating what I'm saying. I feel good luck. This could be a really good year for investments for some of you guys. If you've been considering investing in the stock market, or maybe some of you guys already do that, or invest in like cryptocurrency or anything, this could be a really good year for your investments. I feel like you guys are also becoming more financially savvy, becoming more aware of those things. And it feels like you also have more disposable income to invest in what you want. It feels like you have more finances to play with. Or if you've been like really trying to save money to upgrade something in your career, or to, do something to help you get ahead. Like I feel like this is a year of a lot of gains. It's a year of Sagittarius, Jupiter energy, which is really luck energy, expansion energy, abundance energy. And it's a year of like
whatever you get in, you're able to even put it back and get even more, kind of a thing. Like it's not just about, oh, wow, I made some money. I'm going to go blow it on a night out, or I'm just going to go have fun for a night, or I'm going to go on one vacation for a year or for a week, and then that's it. It's like, oh, let me pour this back into myself. And I feel like it just keeps growing and keeps growing and keeps growing. And by the end of the year, you may be at a completely different place, like really having moved ahead, really having, I'm seeing a chessboard and like someone moving pieces across a chessboard and just like completely dominating the game, honestly, like just doing a really good job and knowing exactly what moves to make and knowing exactly, what the next steps to take are. And I feel like that's the vibe with you. Like you feels like you found your stride a lot. And it feels like if you've been searching for a career or a purpose with your job, or maybe you've been feeling dissatisfied, you may just feel a lot more fulfilled. You may feel a lot more satisfied. You may feel a lot more aligned with what you do in a way that you just didn't before. Let me get into this deck since these cards are kind of just repeating what I already said. So I want to get some new energy to come in. Let's see. What changes are happening for pile number 2 in 2025 in the new year? So we got Archangel Haniel and this image with, it looks to me like lots of wheat behind her. At least that's what I'm seeing, is like wheat field and sheaths, I hope I'm saying that right, of wheat in the back. To me, that's giving me that vibe of like the harvest. Like we put in that work, it's time to harvest. It's time for the blessings. It's time for payoff. It's time for that abundance energy, kind of like you've been growing something all year. You know how sometimes gardeners, like they'll be giving away their zucchini because they'll say like, I literally have like 30 pounds of zucchini right now. I don't know what to do. It's going to go bad if I don't give it away. So here, take some. Or I have so many tomatoes or whatever. And I feel like that's the vibe with you. Like there's so much that you have now that you're almost like, wait, what do I do with this? Wow, I didn't expect to be here. And it's almost like new options become at your disposal. Things that maybe in the past you thought, oh, I could never afford that, or that's just, yeah, I'd love that, but that's just not going to happen for me. And now it's like, oh my God, it's actually happening and I can do all that stuff. And wow, this is amazing. This is like a new possibility, new reality for me. Let's see what cards we're going to get for pile 2 for what is happening, what changes are happening in 2025. This one is the Healing Heart, Love, Acceptance, Romance. Okay. Okay. Letting go of urgency, surrender, freedom from time constraints. This one is Teacher, learning a new path, and you guys get an extra card because this one flew out. So, conscious steps, considered action, looking forward. Okay. So yeah, I feel like I said, there's a big, strong mentor energy around you. Finding people who are more aligned with you. With the Healing Heart, this could even be in the area of love. Like I said, if you've been that person that's like, oh, I could never imagine myself being in a relationship or getting married, or I could never imagine myself having a child, or I could never imagine myself living with someone. I need my own space. You may find you're more capable of those things than you realize. Like, I feel like you're realizing a lot of this is like unpacking narratives about yourself that you've told yourself, like limiting narratives, like ideas of, I can't do that, or that's not for me. And I feel like you are starting to really question where those narratives occurred, who those narratives benefit. I think so much of the time, like a lot of times when you think of when you took on a certain identity, it may have to do with childhood. Like I know for me, I remember one time when I was little, my mom was like, Briar, you haven't been reading a lot of your books lately. And I was probably 5 or 6, like really young. So I was probably reading like picture books or something. But she was like, you haven't been reading your books lately. And I said, yeah, reading isn't my thing. And she's like, well, what do you mean you love to read? And I said, well, reading isn't my thing. That's my older sister's thing. My thing is art. I like art. And my mom was like, well, you can read too. And I was like, or she was like, you can do both. And I said, well, I mean, it's like with you and dad. Dad's the reader. You're not. And my mom was kind of offended by that. But she's like, well, I read too. But she's like, everyone can read. And, I think for me, it was like having siblings, you kind of have to carve out your own identity. And that's kind of what I'm talking about is like, a lot of times we step into these ideas of ourselves that really don't have anything to do with the true reality and have more to do with like our family dynamic or what we grow up in or just random situational factors or not wanting to step on someone else's toes or whatever. And it may not be our truest version of ourselves, right? So we may create a narrative that like, oh, I'm not good at math because somehow that benefits us as a kid because maybe we didn't want our parents to, we didn't want to compete with our like older sister who's really good at math, so we kind of create these like lower expectations for ourselves when we may be perfectly good at math actually in comparison or just standing alone, or we create a narrative of like, I have to achieve, I'm the best athlete, when maybe we don't even care that much about sports, but we notice we get rewards from our parents. And I feel like all this to be said, it's not even, you don't even have to be upset about it. You can just unpack like, oh, that's when I started thinking of myself that way. That's when I started having this idea of myself and realizing kind of how irrational a lot of those ideas are. And those ideas can limit us so much when we have an idea that like, I'm not the kind of person who can be in a relationship. I'm not the kind of person who can make that much money. I'm not the kind of person who can have that kind of life. That's for them, but it's not for me. It's so limiting. And really, those things will hold back your manifestation more than anything else when you think, oh, yeah, like I could never do that. And it's also about realizing you can do literally anything, whatever you want. I mean, it's your life and you can literally change it on a dime. I mean, there are people who grow up in like extreme poverty and move somewhere and make billions of dollars. There are people who grew up in the most dysfunctional divorced family with so much fighting and they're in the most happy, beautiful relationships. We don't have to accept any kind of system or any kind of inner belief that holds us back. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is just freeing yourself from any shackles that held you back, freeing yourself from any idea of like, I can't do that. And a lot of times it comes from a place of like disorganization or just feeling like, oh my God, that's too hard. It's too hard to do the shadow work. I feel like for some of you guys, you could be becoming more organized. You could be neatening your space or realizing how good it feels when you like declutter an area, when you like clean your kitchen, how much better you feel afterwards. I feel like a lot of you guys are just going to be making those changes that allow you to kind of have a better life. Like you're kind of doing that hard work, like the Capricorn, Virgo, Earth sign work of like, okay, what can I do to objectively improve this situation? Not just like, how can I feel better or how can I make it more fun? But like I said, making decisions about money that may seem kind of boring, like where am I going to put my investment? But you're so glad you did it. Or, deciding to clean your apartment or deciding that you're going to move and looking at all the factors that will require you to move to a new country and all the boring paperwork that has to be done, or deciding that you want to switch jobs and sending your resume out. I feel like some of this is really taking actionable steps and like making changes in physical reality to change your reality and realizing how easy it is. Like some of this is realizing how capable you are, pile two, because I feel like some of you guys, maybe you doubt or question yourself, or you think, oh, they did that. Good for them. Like, I'm so happy for them, but like, that's just way too hard and I couldn't. And realizing like, you absolutely can too. Anyone can do it. Like I said, for me, I think about this all the time only because I feel like I've held myself back from so many other things because I am a Mercury in the first house overthinker. And I'm so glad I never looked up any statistics on like succeeding on YouTube, because I think someone had mentioned something like to me like, oh, but it must be really hard being on YouTube. I think I had said something about, like I have to film for a channel or something. And they said, yeah, but like, I mean, it must be hard being on YouTube because like no one has success at it and it's so statistically unlikely. And I was like, really? So then I went and I Googled that, and of course came up with a million results about how it's so impossible to make it on YouTube. The only chance you had was to get on YouTube in like 2012, and now that ship has sailed, and like what percentage of channels fail. And I just know myself, and I am such a pessimistic person. Every life like path, I would always overthink and listen to the statistics and be like, oh my God, this percentage of people tried and didn't make it, so I'm definitely going to be in that group, so there's no way. And I'm so glad that I just went into it kind of like a dummy, just being like, well, I'll just film this and post it, whatever. Because I swear, if I had ever thought it through, I think I would have been so incredibly in a scarcity mindset about it, or just thinking, "Oh, this couldn't be me. Why would anyone listen to me?" And that's the thing, is I think I needed to have that attitude to have anyone even find my videos. I think it's so important. Like, mindset is everything. It's so important to realize it actually could be you, and not all those statistics are going to apply to you, because you have your own set of gifts that apply to you specifically. So the thing that someone else couldn't do is not necessarily the thing that you can't do, and vice versa. And so it's not about, holding yourself back or being pessimistic. It's about going for it, by figuring out what you actually want and just shooting for it and just trying for it. And even if you don't succeed, that's okay. So some of it is just that mindset shift of no longer looking at like, oh, they can do it, but not me. And just thinking, why can't it be me? And just, why not? Let me give it a shot, whatever. And I feel like that's another thing that's really changing for you guys. Instead of thinking about things from a perspective of scarcity, lack, I'm not good enough, it's like, how can I actually make this happen? How can I make it a reality? How can I also, this could be about like not thinking about it, but actually doing it, not analyzing it. Again, this is where I feel like I've been held back in the past, where I would maybe want to do something and then I'd go Google it, and I'd think I was getting some power over it. Like, okay, let me research this situation. But I just end up getting overwhelmed and pessimistic. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just move forward, just take action, just step for it, just like try for it. Even if it's a low likelihood, even if there's very little chance, even if there's like no way you could imagine it, just doing it. And yeah, I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is like about just take some action, just start. And you may find you're more talented at it than you realize. You may find you have more skills at it than you could ever have dreamed. Because sometimes, as much as it may be, like I said, hard for someone else, they may not have your particular set of gifts. They may not have your skill set and your unique, God-given powers, strengths, whatever. And so, yeah, it may be hard for them. It may not be hard for you. I think talking on YouTube for a long time is probably hard for a lot of people, but I'm like a yapper, Mercury in the first house, and that has not served me in good stead for a lot of my life. But on YouTube, it's helpful, right? Like, that's important. So again, it's not about, oh my God, I think I'm so much better, or having that mentality, but it is about realizing I can do whatever I want, and I can at least give it a shot, and I can at least prepare myself for the best life I can have for me. And, like I said, what worked for someone else may not work for me, and what didn't work for someone else may not work for me. I have my own path. I have my own gifts. And part of life is just figuring out how do you utilize your gifts, how to work hard enough if that's something you want, and how to go for it. And that you are just as deserving of having those blessings as anyone else is, and really integrating that into your mind. So I also want to get to some message cards for you guys. So let's see what messages we have for pile number 2. So we have Earth School, life lessons, soul growth, study higher learning. Okay. Perspective, none of this matters. Zoom out, common ground. And this one is, let's see, you're not alone, isolation, physical connection, community. So another way you can kind of overcome that fear or the scarcity mindset is also who cares, which, as I mentioned before, is like my favorite kind of lesson from Abraham Hicks, the who cares thing, because she runs through all these scenarios and she always says like, who cares to it? But I'm getting divorced, but I'm not going to have money, but blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, who cares? Who cares? And that is the trust in like the universe, the trust in the abundance of the universe, right? And so much of the time, I feel like when I was holding myself back from things, again, it was like a fear of failure, a fear of humiliation. And what I realized is it's like no one else cared that much. You know what I mean? Like, and anyone who cares, anyone who's going to judge you, anyone who's going to be like, oh my God, you applied to law school and you didn't get in. Oh, that's pathetic. That's not someone you would want as a friend anyway. That's not someone you want in your life. Anyone who's gonna like judge you because your score wasn't high enough, or I can't believe you didn't make it, or I can't believe you tried to do this. That's so cringe. That's someone who is operating in their place from a deep place of insecurity anyway. And we don't even want that energy around us. So, like, failing enough to the point where they're so disappointed with us that they leave our life is not a loss anyway, right? Making a fool of ourselves in front of someone who's so judgmental and closed off, that's not an L. That's actually a win, because we're not going to have their hater energy holding ourselves back. So another thing is just not even caring, like, if they don't like you, you know, if they think what you're doing is cringe, if they think what you're doing is lame. It's like, okay, and you know, why does that even matter to you? And it probably has zero effect on your life. Like, that's one of the things that I think has also been really helpful about having a YouTube is with the algorithm being what it is, you kind of have to post really regularly. So there's times that maybe you film a video and you're like, I don't know how that one went, or I don't know if anything I said made sense or whatever. And you just kind of have to post it. And what I have found is my own internal like reaction to things is such a bad indicator of how a video is going to go. I think my most popular videos, I've always filmed them and afterwards been like, I don't think I even said anything that made sense. Like, that was really bad. And then they'll be really popular. And then some of my favorite videos that I really felt like I channeled hard didn't do so well. And I feel like that's the best thing. It's something that's so liberating about YouTube is it has taught me the value in just posting it and like not caring what happens. Like, it's like whatever happens, happens with it, because I'm just going to at least the only thing I can control is like my work on my end, and all I can do is do it in good faith and do as much work as possible. And again, that's also more focusing on like this earth energy, not necessarily being in your feelings and your water energy, but just in like, did I do that job? Did I complete it? Did it get done? And that's all that matters. And then taking yourself away from even caring about like how someone reacts, how they feel, what their perspective is. And the cool thing about it is because YouTube only limits, like YouTube doesn't really show it to everyone, that it's kind of rare that I will get comments from people who like don't listen to tarot, don't watch pick a cards, or just think I'm super horrible. Occasionally it happens, or occasionally I'll get like, I rebuke this reading, this is demonic kind of thing. But that's few and far between. Most of the time, the people they show it to are actually people who like align with it and really like, my energy, or like pick a cards, or are open to it. And I think that's really true for the universe. Sometimes we overestimate, like, oh my God, there's going to be so many haters. Oh my God, I'm going to be so embarrassed. Oh my God, this person isn't going to get it. And it's like, the funny thing is, a lot of times when you're really in alignment, the universe will remove those haters from your path, and you will be aligned with the people that really get you, the people that really understand you, and the people that will support you. And I feel like that's really what sums up this reading. You're kind of pruning the people from your life that may have had hater energy, judgmental energy. Maybe they just didn't get it. Maybe they're not trying to be a hater, but that's how they are, how they react to you. But I feel like you're not paying attention to that as much, and that's just allowing you to achieve so much more in the next year. Pile two, you're just going to be able to like reach so many dreams, because you're no longer encumbered by this like, oh my God, how is this person going to react, or what are they going to think, or what are they going to say? And instead, you're just 100% focused on the goal. So that is what I have for you, pile two. I really hope that resonates. If you want to see more of my content, then be sure to head to my Patreon, where I post all my additional readings. There are over 100 exclusive readings you'll only find on Patreon, and you also get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. By the way, it really helps this reading and my channel if you like. Subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a comment, all that jazz. Just really helps me, gives it a thumbs up. For the algorithm.
But anyway, back to Patreon. If you would like to join, there's so many readings posted. And like I said, you get to be the first to watch my YouTube videos. And right now, if you join now, I think by the time this reading gets posted, we are still doing a suggestion post and some polls so you can help decide on the next reading. So if that sounds good to you, then head to my Patreon. The link for that is underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description. And I would love to see you there. Also, if you would like to book a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, whether you're looking for a quick half-hour reading, a full hour-length reading, a pre-recorded reading, a live one-on-one session, whether you want it to be tarot, astrology, open channeling, a combination. You get to really choose what kind of reading you would like, how you want it to go, and customize it for yourself. So if that sounds good to you, then head to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very, very soon for another reading. So take care, guys, and I will see you then. Sending you all my love. Bye. Hey, Pile 3, welcome to your reading. So, wow, you guys are going to have a very powerful year. You got the Lord, aka the Emperor, the Five of Wands reversed, the Queen of Cups, the Tower, and the Death card. And I kind of love this image of the Queen of Cups. She just looks so regal and so peaceful in this card. And I love how she's in the center of this reading amongst some other kind of volatile or crazy energy cards. So I feel like this is talking about a lot of changes happening for you in this year, and you still keeping this sense of dignity and peace and almost looking to yourself as an inner center this year. But I do feel like there's going to be a lot of endings. We have the Tower card, we have the Death card. This would indicate some major change happening. I feel like for some of you guys, this could be about learning to step into your power, because we have the Lord coming out as the first card, the Emperor upright, and it's next to the Five of Wands reverse. So this could be not engaging anymore in BS, or not being willing to almost have dysfunctional tangles. Like if you have had parents that are always creating nonsense or creating drama for you, just being like, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna come home for Christmas this year, I'm doing my own thing. Or if you've been at a toxic workplace, deciding to leave that behind, deciding that like, I don't actually want to get the approval from my boss, I don't even respect my boss, and you know what, I'm leaving. I feel like you are going to really be called on to stand strong in your intuition, to be strong in your own inner voice, and to be strong in what you know in your heart. So you may feel very challenged this year to like go along with a certain narrative, or to have someone agree with you, or to have people like have you do what people are asking of you, you know? I feel like there's going to be a lot of change happening around you. If you've been unsatisfied with your life, then this is probably what you've been asking for, because this can be major changes, and the Tower can show when those changes haven't happened for a while. So it's almost like there's this huge buildup. It's kind of like how, you know, they'll say if it hasn't rained for a really long time, then like the next rain can be like a huge torrential one. It could be like this massive storm, because all this like accumulated precipitation is pouring down. And I feel like that could be the vibe for some of you guys with the Tower, where there may have been changes you've wanted to make, and if you're not willing to make them this year, I'm not gonna lie, they could come down in a crazy way. It could be like, you know, you don't get to quit your job, you get fired, or you don't get to leave your apartment in this like kind of easy way, but like you have to break your lease for some crazy reason, or you know, you have to decide on a new living situation within 2 weeks, and it's like a jumble of activity, and it's kind of a frenzy. But I do feel like, again, you're going to keep your intuition, you're going to keep your calm, you're going to keep your sense of self. And a lot of this is really finally advocating for yourself, because we got the Lord, we got the Emperor. The Emperor is all about, you know, what do I want? And I feel like that's what you're going to be questioning. Anything that wasn't in alignment with that, anything that was like really tugging on your energy and not respecting you. I feel like for some of you guys, like these situations have been going on for a while, and it feels like some of it is people that just expect so much from you, but they don't really give much back, or people that
are trapped in dysfunction and they're not really willing to make changes, and maybe you've had to go along with it. Maybe you have been an overly empathetic Queen of Cups reversed energy where you've been kind of not having the right boundaries. You haven't been willing to say no. You haven't been willing to put your foot down, or you have been going along with someone. This could be like being in a relationship with someone and they don't really do a lot for you and they expect you to do so much for them, and you just keep going along with it hoping one day it'll change. Now you're like, I don't think it's ever going to change, and you know what, dang it, I deserve a really good partner that's going to give more to me, so I am breaking up with you, and it's over, and like ending it, finally ending it. Like, I feel like this is a year for you where things that aren't in alignment, things that have been allowed to persist past the right date, they're going to go out. Like, it's not going to make sense anymore. It's not going to be in alignment with you. It's not going to be something you can maintain, with the Tower card and the Death card coming out together. That's very, very, very powerful. And the Five of Wands being reversed as well. I feel like you're not going to engage anymore. If someone is like, hey, I want you to do this janky behavior to keep me in your life. We all have had, or at least I have had, I don't know if everyone has, but I think a lot of us have had friendships, relationships of all kinds. Doesn't have to just be romantic or friend or parent or anything, but with people that maybe they expect something from us that's a little unfair, or they expect us to just shut up and do what they want, and they don't really want to hear our perspective. And if you've been in any kind of situation like that with someone that doesn't honor your feelings and honor your opinions and your thoughts, and maybe gets mad if you say, oh, well, I don't feel like eating Chinese tonight, but I kind of want pizza, and they're going to be angry because they really want Chinese and it's my way or the highway, those relationships are definitely going on the way out. Anything that, prevents you from being in your power, anything that constantly creates little tensions and stresses, and, you could be really putting your foot down. And this could be about learning to speak up, learning to say how you're feeling, and learning to say what's going on and what you're feeling in your heart. There's a lot of Mars energy over this reading as well. The Emperor, the Death card. I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is being willing to embrace conflict. I mentioned that before, but I actually had a summer where Mars was stuck in my first house. It was continuously going into retrograde, and then it would it was in retrograde for a while, but it was just, I have a long first house, and it was basically just stuck there. And one thing I really learned from that summer, because I was so annoyed by the end of it, I have a new respect for people with Mars in the first house, because I swear, just like any other planet you have in your first house, whatever planet, you will constantly have to face that when it's in your first house. And people that were born with that placement, like, wow, because I swear I had never had so many random, rude interactions with people just being so nasty to me, people just starting conflict with me for no reason. But what I realized I had to learn from that was how much I needed to stand on my business, and how actually it was okay for me to advocate for myself. Actually, it was okay for me to say what was on my mind, or to call someone out, or to just have some boundaries. And that's the thing, is it really makes you learn how to stand up, how to say no. I mean, the Tower card itself is ruled by Mars. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is about learning that conflict doesn't have to be a bad thing. Conflict doesn't have to be the ending to a relationship. Sometimes if you are unwilling to face conflict, that's when you face the BS. That's what Mars in the first house will teach you is, if you're too afraid to stand up for what you want, if you're too afraid to say to the barista, I have a problem with this, or you didn't make this right, or whatever, then you're going to get some really bad coffee that you didn't order. And by the same token, if you're tolerating something in life that isn't serving you, if you're tolerating something in life that's making you feel bad every day, that's making you feel out of alignment, that's making you feel down, depressed, glum, then that's exactly what you're going to get, And so it's learning to advocate. It's learning to say no. It's learning to stand up for yourself. And it's learning to take that conflict on the chin. Because by the end of that Mars transit, I felt like, whatever. And I felt so much more aligned with being willing to stand up for myself. I no longer trusted in kind of this goodness that I would just run into nice people and they would just make my coffee right, and it would just be really nice, and I would just have a great interaction at the gas station, and it's all cool. I had that trust before the Mars transit, and then by the end, that was gone. And I just expected that when I would walk in, I'd get some weird attitude, or someone would be rude, or someone would be in a bad mood, and I'd have to deal with it. And you know what? I was finally okay with that. It no longer made me panic. It no longer made me nervous to go in or, oh, well, what am I going to say back? Well, how am I going to handle that? I was like, oh, yeah, I know exactly how to handle this now. I know exactly how to advocate for myself because I've had to learn this lesson over and over. And that's the benefit of these tower moments, these death card moments, is like, really, it's trauma that needs to be worked through. Really, it's like dysfunctions. Nothing can be ripped down by the tower card that isn't dysfunctional. So if you have been putting yourself in dysfunctional situations, this energy is going to draw it all out for you. But I think this is going to be a really positive change. Let me get into these cards for you. Pile number 3. So we want to know what big changes are happening for you in 2025, the new year. So we got, ooh, prosperity. See, I told you this is going to pay off in the end. The Tower card always benefits us in the end. Then we have commitment. Okay, that's also really good. Let's see. Confidence. And wow, career. I feel like this is the spectrum. Like this is very balanced. We have a lot of good stuff coming in. And finally, well-being. So look, there's so many benefits happening. We have love, we have career, we have money, we have your own well-being overall. So there are so many benefits to these changes that are happening. This could even be admitting defeat with a certain situation, admitting that like I can't do this anymore, and being so surprised by like the goodness that comes in to replace it. Being so surprised by like creating a new life that's way better than the past. And it may prepare you more. Again, if you've been in that bad relationship, it may be like you break up with your partner and you start dating someone new and you're like, oh my God, I didn't know I could be treated this way. I didn't know it could be this good. I didn't know I could get these kind of butterflies, or I could find someone this cute, or I've been in this toxic job and I didn't realize I could get such an amazing job. You know, I mentioned before about bad jobs I've had, and sometimes when I like tell back those stories, I'm almost like embarrassed because I'm like, these jobs are so comically awful. Like the time that the people got in a fist fight, and it was a small office. It was like 6 people. Racial slurs were thrown around. Okay, it was like so crazy, and I'm like, why did I continue working there? Like if any time you should have like couldn't have been more clear sign from spirit to like pack up your things and leave, and I still stayed working there. And I think, yeah, like when I look back, I'm like, what was I thinking? I should have just immediately walked out. And I think so many of us, we get into like that place of complacency, or we honestly, I think it comes down to a scarcity mindset, kind of like this is as good as it can get for me, or I don't really deserve more. And it's so funny because when I think of so many people who like worked for Facebook or something, and they're like complaining about like they took out the green juices, the free green juice in the kitchen, and I'm like, oh my God, like, and I wasn't even allowed to take like a lunch break, you know. I'm just like, wow. Because the thing is, those careers exist in the same universe, in the same world, in the same country, in the same city, and I was taking the one where people are in fist fights and like I'm not allowed to leave for, you know, a quick 15-minute break during the day. And why was that my mentality? Why did I have that scarcity mindset, right? And that's something you often have to unpack with yourself. Why did I think this was good enough for myself? And realizing that there's so much more out there, and that just as much as those amazing jobs exist, or those jobs that give you really great benefits and time off and you feel really aligned and you're feeling creative or whatever, also those jobs that are absolutely horrible exist. And you don't have to sign up. You don't have to take the job where you're feeling disrespected, where you're treated badly. And by the same token, that goes with all areas of life, relationships. Like just as much as there's that boyfriend that treats you so bad and criticizes you and insults you, or doesn't really give you emotional support, or those guys that ghost you, or those guys that like, you know, just are like F-boys trying to date around. There's also quality guys that are going to treat you well. There's also relationships where you feel really aligned, where you feel really fulfilled, where you feel like wow, this partner is helping me grow as a person and they're taking care of me. They really love me. They look after me. So, like I said, the universe has this endless abundance for us, and we're the ones who get to decide what we tolerate and what we put up with and what we say no to. And it really comes from that first step of valuing ourselves and also changing the paradigm of how we view the world from a scarcity mindset, from a there's not enough to go around and I just have to tolerate this, into wow, I can get so much more and I could have that. And there's so much, like, there's so many options. Like, I always think that, if someone is trying to date, I honestly think one of the worst mentalities to be in is that mentality of like, oh my God, it's my first date in like 2 years and I really hope it goes well. And I don't know, I just really like this guy. I never like anyone and I never see, because it's like that is a death knell and that will make you very desperate. And that will either attract someone who is going to take advantage of you, probably not respect you that well, or it's going to just repel everyone. And it's when you're in that mentality of like, there's lots of people to date. And I know sometimes it can feel hard. I know sometimes it feels like there's not that many options, but that's why you would just have to focus on the good and keep repeatedly reminding yourself so you almost don't even see the bad. Like, I think now if I walked into that workplace and they said, well, you're really not supposed to take a lunch break, and then people were fighting in the other room, I think I would say now, I hope I would say immediately no, and I would advocate and I would probably ask those questions during the interview. Well, what's the time off policy? And do you have like maternity leave just in case? And do you have this? And what about these benefits? And what's your policy? Like, I worked in places they didn't even offer insurance. Why would I take those jobs? Again, it seems bizarre to me now that I ever had that scarcity mindset. And that's what happens when you shift your mind from like, oh, I'll just take whatever, to like, I deserve the best. And I feel like for you guys, this is again a scarcity mindset shift. You are changing your idea of what you deserve and what you can accept and what the universe has to offer, from there's such a sense of lack or I don't have enough, to like, wow, there's lots to choose from. And again, same thing, it maybe just be with dating or whatever, with relationships. If you focus on like, oh, this person's treating them really badly, I always get ghosted, guys don't respond to me, to like, I always have fun, I'm always getting to date, I'm always meeting interesting people. Wow, this is so exciting. Life is an adventure. And really shifting your mindset from like, I have to tolerate this, to how can I have fun? How can I enjoy myself? How can I experience different things and live my life and have fun and be fulfilled? And how is this benefiting me? Again, centering yourself. We got the Emperor. So the Emperor is always going to think about me first. It is Aries energy. You guys have a lot of Aries energy throughout this. Aries, Scorpio, Pluto, Mars energy throughout this. And a lot of that energy is about putting yourself first, especially Aries, the house of the self, the first house. So it's more about how do I feel, not what does this person need about me. Again, when I think back also to that job that was so toxic, I think I also felt kind of bad. Like, oh my God, this place, like people are getting into fights. And I would like help the sides talk it out. And I would feel really bad. And I would be like, oh no, don't leave. No, it's okay. Like, listen, it's going to be fine. You guys just won't sit next to each other anymore. And I'm like, that's so crazy. It wasn't even my job. And I was doing like free counseling for people. And it was such a volatile situation, right? And I think I felt a lot of sense of guilt because, again, prioritizing other people over me. A lot of empathic people, sensitive people do that. They kind of put themselves out of the driver's seat and they just start thinking about, well, what does this person need? And oh my God. And they almost feel guilty about advocating for yourself. And again, part of it is changing that mindset from like, well, but my partner, he's just going through a lot. And yeah, he shouts at me sometimes. And yeah, he's under a lot of stress, but like, he needs me, to like, what am I getting out of this relationship? Is he making me feel good about myself? Do I feel happy when I wake up in the morning? Do I feel like I can call him and ask him for things? Do I feel like I can trust him? Do I feel like I am really glad because he's really adding genuine value to my life in some way? And it doesn't have to be, I'm not just talking about monetary at all. I'm talking about emotional support. I'm talking about maybe being sexually attracted, maybe being, romantically involved with someone in a way that's satisfying, sexually satisfied. There's a million different things you can get out of a relationship. But if someone is not bringing something fundamental for you, then maybe stop putting yourself in like a, but I would feel bad if I broke up with him, and start thinking about, well, how can I live my happiest life? And again, knowing that the universe has so many different options, why would I settle for this? So let me get into these cards for you. Pile number 3. What is happening for pile 3 in 2025? The elementals, nature spirits, the 4 elements. So you may have the elementals on your side, fairies, elves, little sprites, and the elementals, I love them. They're so mischievous. They're always kind of causing trouble in like a fun way, and they really enjoy life. Like they enjoy the chaos of life. They enjoy the play of life. They enjoy the wonder of life and the kind of like uncertainty of life. And I feel like that's another thing you're being called to embrace, is like, maybe stop looking at things from like a doom and gloom perspective, or a what could go wrong perspective, and a like, that's going to be fun. That's going to be a new experience. Again, I always encourage people who are having trouble dating to change their mentality from that, from like, oh God, but like, but what if he ghosts me? And what if he doesn't like me? Or I don't know, but like my boyfriend, he's just, I don't know, he's not nice to me. To like, how can I have fun? Am I having fun in my life? Am I going to enjoy, if I'm going on a date and I'm so fixated on the outcome and I'm so desperate for this man to like me, then I'm not going to be really having fun or enjoying myself. I'm not going to be the best version of myself. If I'm going on that date with this mentality of like, I hope I have fun, I hope I enjoy myself, I hope I have a good time, I hope I like him. I mean, there's lots of guys to choose from, so I hope he can live up to what I want. Then that's going to put me way more in the driver's seat, and I'm going to just be able to sit back and enjoy and not put so much pressure on the situation. You know what I mean? Same with a job. If I can stop thinking of it of like, oh my God, but I have to do well, and I hope my boss likes me, and they really need me here, and I can instead think, oh, I hope I get paid really well. I hope I enjoy this job. I hope I can get money from this. I hope I get to get some learning experience, and I can kind of take this fear of rejection out of it. That's when I can start to have fun and play around with it. Let's get some more cards for pile number 3 for 2025. Let's see. We got thought vibrations, resonant choices, signature signals. This card is balance, centered energy, self-care. And let's get one final card, the healing heart, love, acceptance, romance. So you're definitely healing your heart, pile 3. And I feel like you're learning the power of your thoughts. I feel like you're learning the power of your vibration, that so much of what we get back from the world is what we put into it. That was, again, the ownership I had to take. And that's why I said I'm slightly embarrassed that I stated that like extremely janky job, janky being a kind word for it, because I feel like looking back, it's like that is crazy by any standard, that job. There were so many things wrong with it. I can't even, I mean, there was like illegal activity happening at that job. And anyway, when I look back now, I think as much as fun it is to make fun of that place, it's also like definitely a reflection of me and my energy that I was willing to accept that, right? It was definitely a reflection of the place I was at, that was even a place I could walk into and not immediately like walk out and just be like, oh, bye. Nope, this is not in alignment. And I had to really unpack that, right? Because everything we're seeing in this world is a reflection of our own energy. Everything we're seeing in our life is a reflection of our own energy. And sometimes it's really hard for our ego to accept that. Sometimes it's really hard to say that, you know what, I tolerated this and I shouldn't have, or I engaged in this and I should have left. And sometimes what it comes down to is, again, a lack of valuing ourselves, a lack of being willing to put ourselves first, a lack of being willing to say, I'm worth it, or I'm worthy, or I can attract that, or this is what the universe has for me, or I'm just going to be focused and fulfilled on myself, and I'm going to accept the best, and I'm going to have the best life. And I really think once you're in that energy where you're not going to tolerate the BS, you're not going to tolerate the janky job or the janky relationship or the broke down, behavior from someone, that's when you start getting aligned with the good behavior. That's when you start getting aligned with the good job. Like I said, I just think it's so funny when you hear those like videos people will make who work at Facebook who will be like, or some other really nice company will be like, yeah, so they had the fruit smoothies in the lunchroom and then they took them out, and they'll be like outraged about that. And it's just so funny to me because I was always so content to accept so little. And that's the thing is like, I can't be mad at them. It's like good for them for having that mentality. Good for them for being quote unquote entitled, because they're the ones that are having this amazing job with like amazing paid time off and free food and all these things. And probably they're not going to accept anything less than that. Like their next job is going to be on that same level. Their next job is going to also have free food. Their next job is also going to have like a playroom where they can just lounge around and nap during the day. And you know what? Good for them. Because again, those two realities exist in the world. There are really difficult jobs that are horrible and put you through so much stress, and the job that's kind of easy and nice and beautiful. And I know it can be hard to sometimes get ourselves into that scarcity mindset where we really embrace the idea that there are lots of options, but there truly are. Let me get into these message cards for you. Pile number 3. So what messages do we have for pile 3 going into the new year? What changes are happening for them in the new year? So we got the cosmic heart, devotion, potency, make your life a living prayer. This one is breath of the cosmos, my will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. And finally, the blue flame, spontaneous awakening, activation, integration time. So this is like your integration time. And again, I know it may not seem like it, like, oh, great, a tower moment, that's horrible. But actually, it really is the answering to prayers. The tower moment is a change that needs to happen. When you're unhappy with your life and you've been like, oh, I just want something to change, you can't get mad when that change actually happens. Okay, that's a good thing. Even though it may feel traumatic, even though it may feel crazy, even though it may feel like, oh my God, I'm not ready for this, it's such a blessing and so much better than staying in that stagnant energy. And the other thing is, again, my will to thy will. It's realizing that we have every right to have a will for ourselves. And that's kind of the first step, is creating a list of like, what do I want? I feel like when I look back at some of the janky jobs that I did work at, I think it's because I really didn't know the first thing to ask for. Like I was like, well, okay, we have to work. We don't get a lunch break. Okay, well, that makes sense, I guess. I mean, I know people who work through, like I didn't know that wasn't really normal or legal. Like I thought it was, okay, whatever. Or, not having insurance, I would be like, well, I don't really need insurance, so it's okay. I mean, I don't have any sicknesses right now, so whatever. And I didn't even know that, like, oh no, that's really a standard thing that like they should be providing you. So my point is sometimes we have to take a moment to like take the lay of the land, to even change our mindset, what we're consuming, what we're looking at, what we are viewing, what we're taking in, from maybe stuff that's more negative or stuff that adds to this limited perspective, this idea of like, there's no good jobs out here right now, or there's no good people to date or whatever, into like, how can I consume content that's going to lift me up, that's going to make me see the abundance of the universe, it's going to make me see that there's no failing anyway, everything is a lesson. We come to this planet to learn, to be educated, to grow. And so in that sense, there's no taking a step wrong anyway. And everything I do is this beautiful learning potential. And I feel like that's what is going to make you guys really grow so much this year and possibly have a very successful year, because the Tower card can really propel you into success. I think that some of those trickier life events like a Saturn transit can actually provide you with so much more success in the end, because you're willing to face those demons that you've been running away from. You're forced to face those things that you haven't wanted to deal with. It's kind of like the time when you're forced to clean your really messy apartment that you've been putting off cleaning, and it's bad, and I should take these old clothes and fold them and put them away, but you still haven't done it. And it's like, finally you have some reason to do it. You have to, you don't have a choice, and you're forced to do it, and you're not happy about it, but you do it and you're so much happier. You're like, oh, this was something I needed to do. This was stagnant energy. It needed to get cleared, and I'm so glad it's gone.
So yeah, I feel like by the end of this year, you're going to be so much more prepared, but it's definitely a year that may feel a little rocky, or you may feel like, whew, I'm making these changes. These changes are happening a lot. But I feel like it's because you're leveling up as well. Like, I feel like Spirit knows you're so capable of this, you're deserving of more. So it's almost like, hey, we can't just let you tolerate the same old BS, because you deserve so much more from this life. So that is what I have for you. Pile number 3. I really hope that resonates, guys. If you want to see more of my content, then be sure to head to my Patreon, where I post all my additional readings. There are over 100 exclusive readings you'll only find on Patreon, and you also get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. By the way, if you liked this reading, then be sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, hit the little thumbs up button, hit the bell. That really helps the channel so much, helps the algorithm here on YouTube. But back to my Patreon. Yeah, if you join, there are so many exclusive readings. I can't even remember the last reading I posted, because like I literally post readings all the time, and there's, like I said, over 100 exclusive ones. And then you also get to be the first to view all my YouTube videos. You always get to watch it over there first, and you also get to vote and suggest on new topics. So we're actually having open suggestions now, at least at the time of when I filmed this, and then we're going to vote on those as well. So you will still get to decide and help pick the next reading if you join pretty soon. So if that sounds good to you, then head to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is, wait, that's my website. Go to my Patreon, and the link for that is underneath my, the timestamps in the description and in the comments. And then speaking of my website, Briar Rose Tarot, that's where you can go if you would like to get a private reading with me. So if you are interested in a tarot reading, an astrology session, a channeling session, or a combination, a mediumship reading, whatever, you get to get that at my website, and you can have it be a quicker 30-minute reading, a full hour-length reading. You can have it be pre-recorded or a live one-on-one session. You get to really customize your session and your time with me, so it's the perfect reading and length for you. So if that sounds good, then head to my website, briarrosetarot.com. And like I said, the link for that is in my description. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very, very soon for another reading. Take care, guys. Bye.